So tonight's meditation is my favorite. We do a question and answer, and I'll give the same disclaimer that Sifu Brown used to give all the time when he did question and answer, which is this is not the answer, this is not the gospel, this is the gospel according to Sifu, and it's just from my experience, and if it's a great answer and it does something for you, great. If it really offends you, maybe ask yourself why you're offended so easily. And just like if it works, take it. If it doesn't work, leave it. Ask me again in 10 years and I'll give you a better answer. So, questions? Yes, ma'am.
So I've been dealing with a lot of frustration as a new Tai Chi practitioner because I want to be good at something that I just start. How do you deal with, how do you respond to frustration and trying to learn something but also trying to relax and let it happen? And how do you kind of balance that?
This is a wonderful question, and it takes on different forms, but this is a pretty common experience that you have when you start something new. In this case, we're talking about Tai Chi, and you have to appreciate the irony of coming to a Tai Chi class, which is supposed to relax you and just make you less frustrated and anxious in life in general, but yet you find it so frustrating. And it's I laugh because I see people who are late, they get stuck in traffic and they bust in the door and they're really hurrying and really stressed just getting to class. And then they get here and they're just frustrated the whole time because they're not getting it fast enough. And it's you have to allow it to work for it to work, right? There is a balance here, because if you take the specific example of learning Tai Chi, you have some people who are way on one end of the spectrum and they're perfectionists and they've got to get it perfect and they've got to get it now, and anything less than that is unacceptable. And then you got people on the other end of the spectrum who are I'm in Tai Chi, this is totally cool. They're people who already live a little too much like Tai Chi, and they don't really care when they get it, they don't really care if they ever get it. I'm just here, I'm just along for the ride, and whatever happens, happens. My experience is most people are on this end, the perfectionist, gotta get it now, get frustrated too easily, and need to work towards this end. Some people are on this end, and that was actually me when I started martial arts and Tai Chi. It was very much I don't really care about getting it right. I mean, I care about it and I love martial arts, but I'm totally fine if it takes me a lifetime, and I'm still working on it. So this attitude is useful for the longevity of your practice. For example, if you're noticing that you're frustrated in your meditation and you feel I'm just not getting it fast enough, I want to be better, I want to get it, you need to have more of this attitude, which says I'm okay with it taking however long it's going to take, and then just keep practicing. But then you can take that too far and just never actually make improvement. And so then I'm sitting here in my meditation and I'm just zoning out, and I don't care. I get to the end of it and I say, well, I technically did my meditation. I sat there. I didn't get up and leave and quit. So I'll take it. That's a victory. And for some people it is. But really you have to find out where you are and try to move more towards the perfect center. The perfect balance is what I say, I didn't make this up, some much wiser person did, but it's called strive without striving, or effortless effort. And this is a very Zen martial arts kind of idea. And basically, you try as hard as you can, and then don't care about the results. And that is impossible for the vast majority of people. If I'm going to try as hard as I can, it's only because I have the expectation of getting it faster. If I'm going to try harder, I better get it faster, I better get it better. And that is totally counterproductive, actually. You want to just be able to settle into the process. And the first step is recognizing that you're bad and you're going to be bad for a long time. And that is it. You have to start from there. So acceptance. Accept where you are. Accept who you are. And then work hard on changing it. Whatever it is that you're trying to change. The frustration, you nailed it in your question, comes from expecting to be here when you're not. and this is the quintessential human problem. This is our condition, is wanting this, not having it, thus we suffer. Thus we're frustrated by it. So you have to start with recognizing this is exactly where I'm supposed to be, and it's not where I want to be, so I'm going to work on whatever it is that I need to work on to change it. And when I don't get there as fast as I want to, or I don't get as good as I want to, it's totally fine. Because the important thing is not the result, the important thing is the work. It's the striving, it's the effort without the attachment to the result. So my suggestion to you in Tai Chi is actually pretty simple. You just show up to class. And if you show up to class and you try to get it, and then at the end of class, don't measure success by how much further in the form you got or how much better you got at the thing that you are learning. Measure success by, was I just there? Was I present in class? Was I pouring my all into it? And success is actually, did I not get attached to it? Did I not get frustrated by it? Then you're going to say, well, I got frustrated, and that makes me even more frustrated because now my job is not to be frustrated. Why do I keep getting more frustrated, damn it? So then just let that go and just show up to class, and whatever happens, happens. Other question? Dina?
This is kind of trying to put it into words. I've been having a problem lately with sort of my motivation behind meditation.
Mm-hmm.
A little, like the first year I did it, it was like just getting myself to do it. That was, yeah, if I did it, I was good.
The motivation was just like, I'm doing this, and that's enough.
The second year was like switching it to both morning and evening. That was a big thing. I got that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was kind of just improving, making deeper, whatever. Now, third year, is going, I'm getting to this point where it's like I do it automatically. I just timer, sit down.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes I find myself, I set the timer for 30 minutes and it's like 27 minutes and I can feel that it's been 27 minutes and I'm like, okay, do it now, meditate. And it's like this
I got it.
laziness that
Uh-huh.
I haven't.
Your meditations are getting lazy.
Yeah, and I don't.
You're doing token meditations. I'm doing it to say that I did it and to know even for myself that I did it, but like I'm not actually meditating. I'm just sitting there and I get to the end of it and I realize, oh, I did another 30 minutes of not actually meditating. I just sat here, wasted my time. So you're wondering about, I'm assuming, and let me not assume here, are you looking for motivation to just keep meditating, or are you looking for motivation within your meditation to make you really, try harder?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll
Yeah.
do it.
So you're like me. You're like, it's a foregone conclusion that I'm going to meditate. I know it's going to happen because this is just part of who I am now. And you have crossed an incredibly, probably, not to overstate it, but I'm just going to go there, I would say the most important threshold in a meditation practice is to get to the point where I no longer battle with myself about, am I going to do it, am I not going to do it, and you don't whine about having to do it. You just do it, and you know that this is it. And you'd probably start to feel bad about yourself if you didn't meditate. I would feel terrible about myself if I didn't meditate. I wouldn't even want to live anymore. So we meditate. You got that part down. The next part is something that I have struggled with for all 17 years of my meditation practice. Maybe let's say 15 years. I would say I followed a similar pattern in the beginning. It's all exciting and new, and it's like just the fact that I'm sitting, and even just knowing that I'm fulfilling this goal that I have is great motivation, and I feel like it's that in and of itself makes the meditation a little bit more exciting, and I'm really there trying. And then when you get past that point where, as you said, like deciding to meditate 2 times a day or for X amount of time, now it just becomes kind of more like a token, and I'm just there, but I'm not really as focused as I want to be. Now, let's be clear. This is very similar in some ways to Aaron's question. Like, to just be able to do it and to try, just to sit and not worry about the results is necessary. It's incredibly important to be able to meditate without worrying about the results. And if you read, for example, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, which is an absolutely brilliant book, it will say about 100 different ways, your job is just to sit. Your job is not to be great at meditation, to get a certain level of depth or enlightenment or anything. Your job is just to sit. And if you're doing that, you're doing your job. Okay? Now, I'm going to suggest to you that you can do your job and then you can like really do a great job. And the issue is that people take this and then they start to have the same kind of issue that we were talking about before, where it's like, in trying to get better at my meditation, then I get frustrated and then I quit. Now, I know you are not going to quit, and I know I'm not going to quit, but there are some people who early on in their practice, they really attach success again to how deep am I going and how amazing is this meditation, rather than just attaching success to, did I do it? So common. That is the death of most people's meditation practice early on. So now that you're past that, we don't have to worry about it anymore. So now you can really dive in and say to yourself, this is only a great meditation if I really did like stay focused and stay on task. So part of it is just reading something motivational before you meditate. Read something that really pumps you up and gets you to say, like, this is it, like, I'm going to meditate. Maybe this is the time that I hit enlightenment, like whatever it is. Something, anything, any of the books that we have here, or listen to like a talk by Alan Watts, or listen to one of my good talks, or whatever. Something that really excites you about meditation. You can also use, I don't like thinking of this as like a trick, but you can use some techniques or some methods that will help keep you more focused. And so, for example, when you sit, get your point of focus to be incredibly detailed and specific. So sometimes when we sit and breathe, we just feel the general sensation of the breath. Take that and make it the tip of your nose. So you are completely focused on one specific place, and you just feel the air come in and feel the air go out there. And make it like the game of this meditation is to stay so focused on that point that your mind doesn't wander to something else. The issue with your meditation at this point is it's not easy, but it kind of has that feeling of, I've done this and I know how to sit still and breathe and I can do that. And so then your mind just kind of gets complacent and starts to wander. So always bring it back to a very specific sensation. Another thing you can do is, this is called body scanning, where you go and you actually like just feel one individual part of your body at a time while still keeping your mind on the breath. And you can even, for example, like the hands are the best thing to do in the beginning. You can actually feel like, what do your hands feel like? What's the physical sensation of your hands while the breathing is happening? That's kind of related to like energy work and Qigong, where you can actually feel the sensations of your body and use that to help keep you focused. And if you do too much of this, you're really starting to get into another realm of something that I would say is not actually meditation. But if you are still keeping your attention on your breath, and you're not wandering with your mind, you're not just going, like, there's a difference between meditating and doing a Qigong, for example, or meditating and doing a breathing technique where you're actually trying to do something else other than just feel the breath. But there are little ways that you can help your mind focus more and make it a little bit more interesting, I guess. Just don't go too far, because then it's not supposed to be that interesting. because then it's too easy, right? So you could sit there, and I mean, some people sit there and just like replay movies in their head, or just like go through their day, and like some people, meditation is not relaxing for them because they just replay all of the terrible things that they did that day, or like in their entire lives, and it can become very, very stressful. So your meditation should always be coming back to the breath. And try that. See if it works. Other question. Leah.
So I asked you this question before in Tai Chi. It's that question of we can choose to be the chess player of our lives or the chess piece. So how do we remember that we are the chess player instead of the chess piece when life pushes you? For example, in sparring, there are days when you can make your partner retreat, but then there are days when you get in a rut and then you're running away and things like that.
Yeah. So how do you remind yourself that you are the player of this game of life rather than just one of the pieces being moved around? And I think I said this the first time you asked me, on a large scale, on a more like cosmic philosophical level, you are a piece. And you are. And so this is my experience and my understanding. I don't believe in free will. So free will is absolutely real. It absolutely exists on a level, on any level that we will ever experience. But then on some other level that is way beyond our experience, it's not actually up to us what happens. Now, luckily for us, we get to choose when we use which level of this understanding. At least this is what I do. So something really bad happens, I go, well, that wasn't my fault. I'm not in charge. Something great happens, I say, that's right. I did that. And I'm only slightly joking. So this kind of what's it called when you stand? Perspective. This kind of perspective is very useful, right? To recognize that on some level, I am completely and utterly in charge, and if I allow myself to be just pushed around by the forces around me, I am not living my life. My life is being lived for me. And it's very useful to have this perspective that on some other level, it's not actually fully up to me. There are all these other things that are arrayed, and on this level, people usually think everything is arrayed against me. All of the world and the universe is against me, and all these forces are just pushing me down and keeping me from being my true self. Or you can have an empowering attitude about it and say, well, all of the universe and God and all of the everything, every person who I encounter in all of this is here for me, to help me grow and to just kind of, be an opportunity for me in life. So I think that it's important to remember both things. And if you find that your experience of life is such that I'm constantly being pushed around and I feel like life is this thing that happens to me rather than a thing that I do, that I am actually choosing how I'm living my life, well, then you got to do something about that. And meditation, big surprise, is a huge key, because when you start to recognize your thoughts, you start to recognize your patterns, you start to see these tapes that you play over and over again in your head, and this is something that you have complete control over. These habits that we've formed, even just on the level of thought, at any moment you can decide, I'm not going to play that tape. I'm putting that tape in the trash. I'm playing a new tape. And it is going to take some work, right? Through meditation, recognizing the thought, recognizing the first thought that you have that takes you into that same area of self-talk that you get into all the time. Really important. And the experience, again, is this thing happens, this external event happens. that causes me to get into this state of mind. It causes me to have this experience like I'm sparring and I'm just like bewildered and I have no control over it. As soon as you have that initial thought, before you get into playing this tape over and over, you got to stop it. Take the tape out and move on to something else that's empowering and useful for you. So just recognizing it, the first step. It's like if you're on a hill and there's a boulder and the boulder is going to come down, and if you're standing somewhere, it's going to squash you. Like, where do you want to be? You don't want to be down at the bottom. You don't want to run away from it like Indiana Jones style. You want to just be standing there with your hand on the boulder, because the very first thing that you can do when you recognize this boulder is here is stop it from rolling in the first place. That's it. Not just like pretending that it's not there, because it will squash you. Eventually you will become squashed by this thing that is inevitable. Other ways of reminding yourself that you're in charge. I don't know. I mean, practice in general is really helpful, because you see that, if you're grappling, for example, you always have all of these different options, and our experience in grappling is the same as our experience in life, where we get attached to one thing and then we feel like pulled by that. As soon as you attach yourself to something, your freedom is gone. So instead, just letting that thing go and recognizing I actually have thousands of options right now. I can see all of them, or whatever my partner does, I can respond to that from this place of freedom. And when we practice that in our physical practice, then it starts to become something that we do more naturally with the rest of life. And I'm sure there are lots of other things that I'll think of later on, but that's my answer for tonight. Other question? You got one, ma'am?
I'm curious how meditation made its way into martial arts, and why do so many schools not include it as an integral part of good practice?
That's a great question. So meditation and martial arts. So we've got lots of legends in martial arts, and I'll say one of these, and it's for sure rooted in some amount of fact. I don't think that certainly all of the legends in martial arts, there's a lot of crazy stuff that is not true. But this legend is about Buddha Dharma. So Buddha Dharma is an Indian monk, and he is a Buddhist monk. He comes to China, and he gets an audience with the emperor. And the emperor asks, or basically says, I've done all of these amazing things. Look at these temples that I've built, and all of tell me that I've built up great karma, and then I'm going to, be enlightened or go to heaven, basically. And Buddha Dharma says no. Essentially, all this doesn't matter. So the emperor doesn't like that, so he kicks him out. And then Buddha Dharma starts making his way through the countryside of China, and he comes to Shaolin Temple. And basically he sees the monks, and so to answer your question at this point, Kaya, meditation came first. It was not martial arts that came first. There was fighting first. Fighting is way earlier than meditation, but fighting is not the same as martial arts. So Buddha Dharma comes to Shaolin Temple, and he sees all the monks getting fat and lazy and falling asleep during their meditation, and it's not good. So he starts to try to teach them, and they don't want to hear it because they're monks and they know what's what. So they just send him on his way. And he goes up, and the legend says that he sat in a cave up on the mountain overlooking the grounds of Shaolin. And I can't remember the years, but let's say it's 9 years. And during that time, they say that Buddha Dharma, he just sat in the cave for 9 years and meditated in the same spot, staring at the same place. So he was doing an open eye meditation. And at some point, his eyes were getting so tired, he cut off his eyelids. And it said where they hit the ground, the first tea leaves or the first tea trees came forth. And so this is like Buddha Dharma's gift to you when you meditate, is you drink tea and it wakes you up. It said that he stared so intently at this place in the wall that it actually bored a hole in the wall of the cave. And at any rate, the monks in Shaolin saw, like, this guy is serious, and he's got something. There's something about this crazy foreigner who's coming here, so we should learn from him. So then they asked him to come down, and it said that he refused at first. And so one of the monks, and it was actually like somebody who followed him from elsewhere, cut off his arm and gave it to him because he wanted to show how serious he was about meditation. And that monk actually became the person that was the first, like, patriarch, ran Shaolin and Kung Fu after Buddha Dharma left, and he didn't have a right arm, so that's why they bow like this. No, he didn't have a left arm, so that's why they bow like this in Shaolin. And I'm kind of digressing. So he came down, and the thing that he taught, besides, meditation, was this synthesis, basically, with physical technique. And it was super rudimentary. It was like based in basic yogic poses, and he it's like just stand in horse stance, or just like stand like this. And over the hundreds of years, this turned into the martial arts that we know and love today. And the way that meditation came to martial arts was it was always there. They added in the physical component. And when we talk about martial arts, that's why we say that it's both mental and physical. It's both together. And the reason why most martial arts schools don't talk about it is because, A, they never learned it. Their teacher never taught them. And if they did learn it, they think, well, this is too, like, religious and too weird, and I can't talk about this. And the main reason that they don't do that is, or that they feel that way, is because they teach kids. The vast majority of martial arts schools are for tiny kids. You're not going to teach a 3-year-old how to meditate. It's ridiculous. So I teach the older kids how to meditate, and they're like 9 years old, and even that's kind of ridiculous. But so most of them learned as kids, and then now that they're adults, they never heard about meditation. They never had that part of it. And it's just, martial arts has just really been watered down and dumbed down to the point where it is just like a very weak shadow of what it once was in most places. Not here. We do it the real way. And it's not because of me, it's because of Sifu Brown, and it's not even because of Sifu Brown, it's because of his teachers. And this is just the way that it always was supposed to be. And on that note, I'm pretty sure we're running out of time. Yeah. So, let's stop talking, because at the end of the day, all of this is just fluff. So we're going to sit and meditate. And I suggest to you, kind of going back to Dina's question, go into this meditation fully motivated that this will be it. This will be the best meditation you've ever had. This is the one. This will be the time that you actually hit enlightenment. And keep yourself completely focused, because as your mind wanders, you're going to lose that opportunity. Sitting still is the first most important thing. And then when your mind wanders, just bring it back. And let's try tonight to bring it back to the sensation of the breath just right at the tip of the nose. Sit comfortably.